So what's on your mind today?
Well, we got an email, and it's we get a lot of email, and once in a while one pops out as something that might have broader interest to people. And I know that we get a lot of emails about religious indoctrination of children, and particularly where there's one party that's kind of objecting to it, and then there's a really fundamentalist type on the other side that's really trying to indoctrinate the children. So we got one of those emails, and it's kind of got an interesting twist here. So I'll read a little bit of it for you. Paraphrasing a bit, this guy writes to us, he raised his children to be kind of indifferent to religion. He's an atheist, although he didn't identify as one until probably 5 years or so ago. And now he regrets that he didn't become more of an activist sooner, because I guess he and his wife divorced many years ago. She's a real Bible thumper, according to him, and now they have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter. And the ex-wife is indoctrinating the 2.5-year-old granddaughter, and he says he doesn't want her to confuse her, but he doesn't want this sort of information to go uncontested, and he's wondering how to handle this. Does he basically start a conflict within the family over this? So anyway, he wants to know, what our advice would be. And so I thought I'd throw this out there. And unfortunately, as a grandparent,
you
don't actually
have a lot of authority.
Yeah, you don't have any rights. There aren't any such things like grandparents' rights. So
if it can be demonstrated that some kind of abuse is going on, then that's one thing. But
even then, the parents would have to be the ones. I mean, I guess a grandparent could raise an issue of abuse, but really the parents need to be involved in this. And so my recommendation is talk to your children about how they feel about your child, about how he feels about his daughter being indoctrinated. And if he objects, then he certainly has grounds to basically stop the indoctrination. And as an aside, I agree that indoctrination shouldn't go unchallenged, and so you have just as much right to present your views to your grandchildren as their grandmother does. So, I don't think that you should start a family war over it, but certainly, 2.5 is old enough to begin an indoctrination process. It's also old enough to have a conversation about, what's real and what's imaginary.
Right. Yeah. And as long as you're not getting cut off from the kid, from access to the kid yourself, which is a real time to start worrying, you can certainly have those conversations with the kid and work to undermine that kind of indoctrination and talk about your non-belief and your views on sort of cultish religious training, and start the kid on some critical thinking as early as you can.
Yeah. One of the things that I'd point out as well, and Russell, I'm sure you can speak to this, being a parent yourself, is that this is not a one-and-done conversation with a kid. Even a kid who's a little bit older, this conversation about religion and what people believe and why they believe it is an ongoing conversation that you'll have with a child, for their whole life, basically, until they're of an age when they've, got enough reasoning ability and information to form their own, firmly held beliefs. So don't think that you're going to be able to have this conversation and then not have it again.
Yeah, and on that note, I would say that the most important thing you can do for the kid is make sure, first and foremost, that you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
So, be an active part of their lives, take them out to do fun stuff, because, the child, while, he can't control who he's with all the time, he certainly has a say in who he likes to be with.
Right.
And if you are on good terms, just person to person with your grandkid, then they'll be a lot more likely to be interested in what you have to say. And let's be honest, church of all kinds tends to be kind of boring for kids. And it can be a real breath of fresh air for a kid to hear a trusted and respected authority figure saying, oh yeah, I know how you feel, that, you know, that stuff's nonsense.
Yeah, especially a little bit older when they start playing the emotional hook about, you know, didn't you feel the presence of the Holy Spirit when you were there? And there's an awful lot of social pressure in that situation for kids to go along with what other people are, this kind of information other people are feeding them. And yeah, you want to build a relationship with a kid that kind of lets them shrug that off, like, oh, okay, that's part of the church deal. You know, that's what they do. And it becomes easier to shrug that off if you're...
And make sure you're the one that your grandkids come to when they want to talk about the experiences that they've had with somebody neutral.